Pricing is one of the most important marketing decisions. Pricing is also considered as one of the four P's of marketing. So, along with the product, along with the promotions, along with the place, right? Pricing is also part of the marketing mix. But pricing is different, right? Pricing is different in a way it helps to get a value from the customer. Now, when you set a price, it's not an easy thing. Like for example, if you set a price which is too high, what's going to happen? The customers will not come to you, right? They may go to the competitor because they don't find value in you. And on the other hand, if you price it too low, right? What's going to happen? Your profitability is an issue. So this is the reason that it's a very important decision. So you need to set a right price. So we'll understand, I will make you understand what are the steps which are there in terms of setting the pricing. Now price for an organization is very much related to the pricing strategy. So there has to be a pricing strategy for a product in an organization, and that pricing strategy can depend on various factors. One is definitely the strength of an organization, how strong the organization is, whether the organization is able to dictate a price in the market. That plays a very important role, whether the how the successful the organization is in the eyes of the customers and in the environment, right? So that plays a very important role. So organization, uh, that's where. And then we also need to look into the environment, right? So what kind of environment it offers, right? Whether it's a pricing which is done into a recessionary kind of economical environment, or it's a very promising economical environment, right? The other things are also there which we'll also try to factor in. But however, on all these parameters, you try to decide whether you would like to increase your market share, right? So if you want to increase your market share, there is a kind of a specific or a suitable strategies which are required. But on the other hand, if you want to increase the profitability, you decide that okay, you want to be profitable right from the day one, or you don't want to spend more time in getting a profit, or you want to get break even early, right? Then in that case your pricing will be little high, right? That's what we call it as a skimming price. So you'll try to get a cream out of the market. That is what can be considered as a skimming price. So there is a penetration price. Penetration price is where the price is low, and the skimming price whether the price is high. Again, it will depend on the type of the product. If it is a technological product, if you feel yeah your product is having more value, and you want to extract value in the market, right, and no other competitor is there, maybe in that case you may feel that the skimming price is justified. So all of this are the different kinds of the strategy that will help companies to take decisive action with regard to pricing. Now once you look into your pricing decision for a product, right, there may be also a possibility that one product pricing strategy will be different from other product pricing strategy. So now we move to the next stage, and the next stage is about the demand. So how we look into the demand, and at particular price there is a specific demand, and that is where in the economics we learn about the demand curve, and when we learn about the demand curve, we also try to look into the price elasticity. That is, with a change in the price, what will the impact on the quantity, right? So we find that there are certain products which are elastic. That means with a small change the quantity, there is a substantial movement in the quantities, right? While in the some case you find that with more change in the price, there is not a comparable, change in the quantities. So that's what can be considered as price inelastic. So you need to look into the price elasticity, and how you can look into the price elasticity by conducting the experiments. Yeah, before coming out with a product, you can take this scenario to the customers and tell them, okay, what can be the pricing, okay, and then look into the alternates, try to compare which is high, which is medium, which is low, and then take appropriate action. Another way is also to look into the past information or the past data on the pricing. So what has been the pricing, what has been the demand. So in certain organizations, it is very much part of the regime, that every month, you reflect into, for example, if it is edible oil, then each day there is a different prices, and there is also the quantities which are sold at those prices. So those are put as a dashboard to the top management, and accordingly, they can take the action. They can review the past prices, they can review into the past data, and then you can, on the basis of the same, you can also come out with the statistical models. So statistical models you can make, and you can look into what are the driving factors for pricing. Once you look into this demand, it's very important to move to the next stage, and that next stage can be considered is looking into the cost. Now the cost, we can divide this cost into the two, that is fixed cost and the variable cost. Now all this is depending on the capacity, that is with the change in the EU capacity, the cost remains more or less same. That's what, with the change in the quantities, the cost remains same. That is what can be considered as a fixed cost. With a change in the quantities or change in the production, if there is a cost which is moving along with that, that can be considered as a variable cost. And it's very important that costs do not remain static. It all depends on the capacity and on other parameters. So you need to reflect into those aspects, like what at particular capacity, what is the cost, and at alternate capacities you need to be knowing about the cost structure and the behavior of the cost, right? So once you factor the cost, then you move to the next stage, and that is about the competition, because you are not acting in a vacuum. So there are competitors who are also playing in the market. So you need to look into, factor into what are the prices which are set, right, by the competition. So there, and you can find who is your close competitor, right? So once you do this, then you look into what is the appropriate pricing method that you are going to choose. So whether you go and apply a pricing method which is the cost plus margin, that is what you look forward to, or cost plus some return on your investments. So you can also adopt this method. Another way of very important method is look into what is the value that customers are looking into your product for a price. So customers make a judgment, about the value, and as an organization, it's very important to know and to recognize that value resides in the mind of the customers. And when we see customers, the value, we need to see customer in totality. Okay, you are offering X price, what is the cost which the customer is incurring, right? For example, you may be offering a loan at 7%, the lowest market rate, but then if it results into customers utilizing their time more, then the cost at the customer's place will be higher. It's not only that 7%, but then how much time does that customer spend into coming to the office, to the bank, and how much time the customer, not only his efforts but his energy, that is what he's spending, for a particular product. That also needs to be factored into. So there is a kind of a risk which is there. So a risk, different type of the risk, which also needs to be recognized. So always, once you have a price, then also look into what is that customer considers from the value front. That's very important. And then your prices, when you decide your price, then you also look into the competitor pricing. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to take a scenario now, and in this scenario, we will look into that how the price is set in a bank or a financial services. That will help you to set a context in terms of understanding or comprehending how the prices are determined. And I'm sure this understanding will help you a lot in terms of having a practical orientation about pricing. That's very important. And this is done through an interview with a very senior, person from a very leading bank of India, that is State Bank of India. And Mr. Rajiv Khun, let me also share, he has been instrumental in setting the price, and presently he is heading the risk management department at State Bank of India. So now over to interview.
It's my pleasure to introduce Sri Rajiv Khund and a very senior person from State Bank of India, Madam Anuradha Rao, who has kindly consented to join for this session, I will say interaction. And why we are having this interaction, we are trying to link it with the topic on pricing. No, I would currently we are into a situation of COVID, and I would like to take you to the situation when the global financial crisis hit the depths, then it also hit the shores. So that time, the situation in the industry was not encouraging. The new projects were coming up. Now, for the banks, what to do? And so they came out with a home loan that really made a lot of storm in the industry, I will say. And not only the State Bank of India, but also the competitors also looked into this scheme and started giving their statements. So it's a wonderful scheme, and I'm very pleased that our senior person, Madam Anuradha Rao, as well as Rajiv Khund, was associated developing this scheme. That is, yeah. So there is lot we can try to link with the pricing of the product, and uh, and the question which I would first question which I would pose to you is how pricing is important in banking and specifically products. So
Your voice is dropping in between.
okay, so how I will come again. How pricing is important in home loan and home loan in particular and banking in general. My voice is okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, pricing actually is the essence of doing business.
Mhm. Right,
And your pricing strategy depends on what actually your organization wants to achieve.
right.
Correct. So, for any decision in any corporate strategy, thing at the top of the mind is where do you want to head? What are your strategic objectives? पहले उसके
Right.
पहले what is your vision?
Mhm.
Then objectives come. So if
Mhm.
so pricing strategy will depend on whether you are an incumbent
Mhm.
or you are a new entrant.
Mhm.
If no, so if you are defending your territory, there is some pricing strategy. If you
Mhm.
are trying to gain market share by as a new entrant, perhaps your strategy, in case you do not have an innovative product,
Mhm.
then your strategy is reduced to pricing and distribution outlets.
Right.
How do you distribute? So pricing plays very, very important role in any product.
Mhm.
But when it comes to financial product,
Mhm.
pricing of financial products, which banks and NBFCs and other financial institutions deal in. Most important is you are playing with some other else's money.
Okay, right.
That you borrow from your it's depositors' money.
Right.
So you are almost working as a trustee of that money. You are holding it for depositors,
Right.
and then it's your prime responsibility to return it back to the depositor whenever he wants it, as per the terms of your contract.
Right.
So having said that, when you price certain thing, it should not be only the volumes which one should look at, but also what are your costs? Are you making any money, or are you a challenger who has an appetite to make certain losses for certain time?
Right.
So you are willing to burn some money. So that's a challenger strategy. But if you are an incumbent, your strategy will be different.
Right.
And whether challenger or incumbent, most important part in any financial pricing is it should not be so underpriced. In good old days, there was a term called as teaser.
Okay, yeah. Yes, sir.
So teaser loan at a teaser rate. So you offer loan at abysmally low rate, and later on you step it up.
Right.
So that was sort of a trap. If you are an honest lender and you think of well-being of your customers also, then you have to be honest and transparent in pricing also. And so corollary, transparency and honesty. So when you give a loan, basically loan pricing in a bank, that loan, that price itself should not be the bait to attract customers and improve your top lines.
Okay.
You have to ensure that borrower has capacity to repay whatever loan you are giving. And right.
So, I was just trying to, you said that borrower, whether he has a repaying capacity, right? So before a borrower comes, even you know about his profile, or maybe from CIBIL you get the data. What are the things that you do, so that borrowers has a tendency to repay the loan, specifically the home loan? So what is that certain things that you look at, and you don't try to deviate from that?
Yeah. So, first thing I'll tell you what problem we found in the market and how we solved it. First thing is it's 15 years old story.
Yeah, sir.
But then
Please.
Borrower's repayment was defined in terms of his EMI to NMI ratio. What is the equated monthly installment and what is net monthly income, that ratio.
Okay.
So by and large, 50% to 55%, 60% was the industry norm. Now, if you apply this across the spectrum, like if your income is 10,000 rupees per month and you take 60%, and your income is 10 lakh rupees per month, and even then you take 60% as EMI, which is sustainable, then you are doing something wrong.
Okay. Right.
Because a person who earns 10,000 rupees a month will have certain commitments, certain expenditure, which is absolutely necessary to run the household.
Right.
And so in that case, you cannot have 60% EMI to NMI ratio.
Okay. Yeah.
So whoever gives loan first has to think of the necessities of individual borrower or even the business. If it's a business loan, because he will need need to take up certain expenditure only for keeping his business afloat, alive.
Okay, right.
So once that is taken out of EBIT, whatever is left should be sufficient to repay your loan.
Right.
So like in this case, if 10,000 rupees is the income, then he has to pay fees of his school at 10,000 rupees a month. Perhaps children are going to nursery schools expenditure, but now earlier it was not much. Now it's that
Increasing.
also is phenomenal. He has then groceries he has to buy. Perhaps he has to pay rent. So at that level, perhaps what he would be comfortable in repaying would not be more than 2,000, at the most 2,000 rupees.
Okay, right.
So we did some calculations, and first break from the industry norm was this graded EMI to NMI ratio. So
Okay,
we did not stick to that 50%, 60% across all the income brackets,
right.
but we broke it down. So it varied from 20% at the lowest level to 70% at higher level.
Okay.
So prime responsibility of a borrower, of a lender, is to ensure that his borrower is not burdened with something which he cannot repay, cannot sustain.
Okay.
That's the prime.
I have one question, follow-up question
Yeah,
regarding, say you said that for the lower class you will set this ratio as less, and for a higher
yeah,
income category it will step up, right? Now,
yeah,
now if you go into the higher class or maybe upper middle class, suppose there is a industry, I'm just taking a present case, right, where certain industries are affected severely, right? Hotel industry is severely affected. This,
yeah.
assuming somebody is working in a hotel at a very high position, right? Or so in that case, what is your suggestion? How will you handle such situation?
No, so loan for a hotel?
No, loan for a person who is working in a hotel. I mean, he is taking a home loan. He's a and getting a very good salary, assuming that he's working as a GM, or
Uh,
person who is working in an airline at presently, and
yeah.
as a very senior position, right? But right now all flights are down, or in such cases, so those things also keep on happening. Like, I mean, because your economy also undergoes your sectoral changes. It keeps on
Yeah.
happening. So how you factor those factors? I mean,
So now we are coming to step two.
okay, okay,
First was our EMI and NMI.
okay,
Those first is his proven capacity to repay.
right.
Now question number two is, since home loan is for a longer duration, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years,
Right.
how do you ensure or rather satisfy yourself that this fellow will be this particular borrower will be in a position to repay your loan or sustain it over a period of 15, 20 years? That's the question, and for which uh, all of you are masters in developing business models, statistical models.
Right.
So, so what we also do is conduct some defaults. One
Okay.
is look back.
Right.
That is rear view. Which are the classes of borrowers? Now, class will be his profession, his industry where he works, the classes of borrowers who tend to default more than others.
Okay.
That is what you look back,
Right.
rear view.
Okay.
And front view is which are the industries. So you need some sort of knowledge of futurology on this. Which
Okay.
are the
Right.
industries which are likely to see an upturn or which are likely to see a downturn?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that depends on his industry. So your scorecard will have marks according to that.
Okay. 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 So,
So
we could understand that first factor, that you eligibility norms. So one is the income to the loan ratio. Is there any
yeah,
other ratio that you look at?
one more ratio we look at, and unfortunately, many lenders actually trap their borrowers using this ratio,
Okay.
and that ratio is called as loan to value ratio.
Okay. Okay. Right.
So all of us are wise after surviving the effects of subprime crisis in US.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you tend to give reduce borrower stake and increase your stake in the loan in the project
Right.
with an underlying assumption that home loan price is perennially going to increase,
Mhm.
then you are doing something wrong not only to yourself, but you are doing injustice to the community as a whole and the borrowers.
Okay.
Because nowhere in the world any prudent lender will give 110% loan against a property which is worth 100 rupees.
Okay. Right.
So how do we increase? What is the right stake of the borrower?
Mhm.
Now, earlier we looked at EMI to NMI ratio.
Mhm.
There, if you are at the lower end of the spectrum, then your ratio is low.
Mhm.
Lower the income, lower will be the EMI NMI ratio.
Right.
But now, if look at the proper LTV ratio, loan to value ratio,
Mhm.
if a poor person earning 20,000 rupees a month is buying a property,
Right.
it won't be more than it will be roughly 50 times his monthly income.
Okay.
Property
Value.
a loan which a bank will give.
Right.
So his property worth will not exceed maybe 1.5 lakh rupees.
Okay.
We are taking simple example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now at this value of the property, I can afford to give 80%, 90% loan to him,
Mhm.
and that's when home becomes affordable to the person.
Right. Okay. Okay.
If I say I'll give only 50%, he will never buy a house in his lifetime.
Okay. Right.
So at that level, because your risk appetite,
Mhm.
since individual loan amount involved is lower, ticket size is low, you can afford to have higher loan to value ratio. But you cannot apply same 90% loan to value ratio for a property worth 2 crore rupees.
Okay. Right. Right. Okay. 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 So there the ratio becomes less, right? For the high.
Their ratio will reduce.
Okay. 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 Right.
And one beautiful thing about home loan is at certain if your loan to value ratio and EMI to NMI ratio, that
Mhm.
EMIs are not fixed properly,
Mhm.
then there is every chance that there will be a negative amortization.
Oh. Okay.
Like you gave a loan for 1 lakh rupees, but steadily loan amount goes on increasing instead of coming down.
Okay.
And so effectively loan to value ratio automatically goes up instead of coming down. So these are the risks which a person who designs product has to consider,
Okay.
address properly.
Right. Right. Sir, you are known for designing a very interesting, innovative home loan scheme. So I would like to request you to use a time machine and and go back. So how it evolved and what are the factors that you considered and your experience thereafter once you home loan was launched. So
Yeah.
I mean, what was the situation at the bank and what was the situation at your desk?
Situation prior, there was a typical situation when interest rates in the market were going up.
Mhm.
There was lot of demand for credit, and my bank thought of garnering deposits.
Okay.
So we launched a scheme through which we amassed a huge pile of deposits.
Mhm.
And only when that deposit scheme came to an end and we had a lot of deposits with the bank,
Mhm.
suddenly this Lehman Brothers thing happened.
Okay.
And immediately demand for credit crashed all over.
Okay.
So here was a typical situation in which you were sitting on a pile of lendable funds
Hmm.
and there were no takers.
Right. Coming, the situation is that you are now flush with the deposits. The situation is not good. There are not good lendable projects. So how you take it forward, right? I mean, that's what I understand the situation.
Yeah. So again, I'm not giving any bhashan, but
Yeah.
actually telling you through experience. Uh, SBI at that point of time actually behaved like a very responsible corporate,
Hmm.
and I'll explain why that responsible word I'm using.
Hmm.
See, there were entire business was in ruins outside in the industry.
Right.
Your exports were hampered.
Hmm.
Banks were sitting over a lot of funds.
Hmm.
See, now we are a banker has two options.
Hmm.
Either you reduce deposit rate. Now, if I reduce deposit rate as a banker,
Hmm.
I stand to reduce my costs. That's all right. But at the same time, there are a lot of citizens in this country, particularly the senior ones,
Hmm.
who for their livelihood depend on bank deposits.
Right.
They keep their money with the bank. They want to earn decent interest, and that's how they make their living.
Hmm.
So when we price deposits, we have responsibility not only towards our shareholders,
Hmm.
but towards our depositors and society as a whole. So any business which thrives actually works for the good of the society. So having said that, cutting deposit rates is not the only workable option before a banker.
Right.
Now, once you accept this situation and there are no takers of loans,
Hmm.
only choice you are left with is park your funds in Reserve Bank in reverse repo.
Hmm.
Reverse repo will give you at least 2 to 3% less than your cost of funds.
Okay.
Okay. So at that point of time, if I remember right, cost of funds was anywhere near 6 to 7%,
Hmm.
between 6 and 7%, whereas reverse repo was earning 3.75%.
Oh, okay.
So that was the negative gap.
Hmm. Okay.
In industry, if there are no takers for loans,
Hmm.
because if you increase interest rates, that puts further burden on the borrowing community, as it is they find it difficult to repay.
Right.
How do we strike a balance?
Hmm.
And madam, since she was privy to those ALM committee deliberations, she will actually add more information on this, throw more light on this.
Hmm.
But then chairman of the bank came out with a brilliant idea.
Hmm.
Instead of making loss in reverse repo by parking funds in reverse repo, why don't we give benefit to the borrowers?
Okay.
So if interest rates were running in a range of 10% in those days, 10, 11%, why don't we give loans at 8%? At least we make more than 3.75%.
Hmm.
So next question is, this 8% will not be affordable for the bank for a longer time.
Okay. Right.
So keep it at 8% for 1 year.
Okay.
So for next 1 year, bank will lend at 8%. That's what the ALM and chairman thought very wisely.
Hmm.
After that, perhaps interest rate may go up by 1%, 9%.
Hmm.
And third year onwards, we'll switch to floating rates.
Okay.
So that was a brilliant strategy, which
Hmm.
chairman gave to all business units. That okay, now I am giving you funds at such low rates.
Hmm.
Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
And third objective, which was being achieved, is in those days, your students must have been in schools now.
Right.
So, word stimulus was in vogue because
Right.
Reserve Bank of India wanted to give stimulus to the economy.
Right.
Or economy managers of the economy wanted to give stimulus. How do we give stimulus?
Mhm.
So, stimulus can be given through by lowering of interest rates.
Right.
So, there at least interest costs come down.
Mhm.
So these objectives were achieved, and why home loans became important part of that
Okay.
scheme
Yes.
is when one home is constructed, one home, it supports 270 to 275 industries.
Okay.
One home. You use paints, you use bricks, you use mortar, you use cement, and so that multiplier effect of a home loan was at least 4 to 5 times.
Mhm.
So you give 1 lakh rupee loan, it will generate 5 lakh rupees in the economy.
Mhm.
That was the potential of home loan. That's why there was the then chairman gave a lot of importance and focus to home loans business.
Right. Right. Can I ask you a question, sir, with your kind permission?
Yeah, always.
Okay. So during that time, I understand how was the preference among the borrowers or among the customers. I should not use the borrowers, but customers
Hmm.
for the home loans towards SBI. Was SBI a preferred home loan destination? Or how, I mean, what was the perception? Because okay, you may come out with a scheme, but then whether the people will readily come to you just because of the price, or would also there be other factors, in terms of the processing and other things, right, which
Hmm.
matters, which really matters for a borrower, right? So what do you think as the image of the borrower about the State Bank of India in the home loan, in the area of home loan?
Yeah. Uh, Again, this question can be answered in two parts.
Okay.
One, see, SBI, one is customer perception about SBI.
Mhm.
Fortunately, we have got such a strong history
Yes.
that in terms of trust, SBI is miles ahead of others.
Right.
So whenever some agencies carried out surveys
Mhm.
of who is the most preferred home loan provider,
Right.
SBI always emerged on the top.
Right.
Most preferred home loan provider. But when you looked at the portfolio size,
Mhm.
home loan book, SBI was early in
Yeah, during before
earlier part
situation.
2005-6.
Yes.
SBI was at number 4 or 5. That was a contradiction in itself. That
Right.
surveys produced you as number 1, whereas figures, your books say something else.
Right.
You are number 3, 4.
Yes.
Actually, that's when our chairman threw a challenge at us. Take bank from that number 4 in book size
Okay.
to match number 1, which is the market perception,
Right. Right.
market preference.
Right.
If you are preferred as number 1 by the market in terms of business size,
Mhm.
you should be number 1. How do you, uh, for any marketing, you are the marketing gurus, but then
No, we are
your
learning.
product, your product has to be good. Pricing has to be matching with the qualities of the product.
Mhm.
Next is you promote it
Mhm.
properly in the market. Fourth aspect is how do you distribute